Hi Wayne, it's kind of you to meet with me. I just wonder for the folk of those that are joining in today, whether you could just introduce yourself.
Hi Ben, good morning. Yes, my name's Wayne Johnson. I'm a local councillor and my ward is Starefoot in Barnsley. I'm also the chair of the Central Area Council.
Wonderful, thank you very much. So you work for the council, you're part of the borough council as well. And I just wonder then, we're all aware at the moment that lots of people are struggling. Some of course have been struggling before COVID happened. So I just wonder if you could tell us a little bit about the struggles that the council are aware of and maybe why people are starting to struggle.
I think you're spot on there, Ben, in terms of many of these problems have been in existence well before COVID. But what COVID has done is flagged up many people who perhaps have been flying under the radar, unfortunately, for too long. There is a project that's being run at the moment, and it's called Healthy Holidays. It's been run by the Central's team, who are doing a fantastic job. Every week they're doing a virtual food demonstration, how to prepare simple meals. If anybody knows anybody who they think would benefit from that scheme, or if they themselves would benefit, then if they get in touch with the area team on 01226 772 069, then they will do whatever they can to assist people who are having difficulties.
Wonderful, that's great. Thank you very much. So I just want to drill down a little bit on those people who are struggling to get enough to eat. Where's that coming from, or why is that happening? Do you know?
Yes, well, as a response to COVID, when the crisis first started, obviously the government agencies and local authorities were not quite sure how the thing were going to develop. And to be perfectly honest, third sector organisations, like voluntary organisations, have really stepped up to the plate, and places like the community shop and the food banks have been tremendously helpful in making sure that people have got that underlying support.
So it's fair to say then, really, that all of the good work that's been going on in making sure people aren't struggling has relied quite heavily on people, really, on human resources, hasn't it?
Very much.
There's a bit of a plan, or how people might get involved going forward once they start going back to work and things. Is there a plan on how people might still be encouraged or helped to volunteer in their local communities?
Yes, well, the community responders have all been contacted individually with a view to asking them to maintain this newfound resource of people who've been prepared to help. Unfortunately, then, many people are going back to work, and they're going back to their normal lives, if you want to call it that, and so therefore they've perhaps not got the time. It's ironic because we've got many local, and this includes the church, we've got many local organisations whose membership consists of many of the people who were forced into not being able to help because they were being asked to self-isolate. And so the army of volunteers that you've got and we've had all fell into the vulnerable category. And so the army of volunteers that we had to be set aside because of the fact that they were, obviously their health came first. But the people who stepped forward to replace them, younger people, working people, are now going back to work. So we are trying.
Absolutely. So it's great to hear that lots of people throughout this crisis have shown compassion to their neighbours, to people that they don't know, and that compassion has driven them to act. And I just wonder, some people would say that compassion is starting to dwindle now. What would your take or response be to that?
No, I think the thing is that there's always people, there's always negative people, and nobody more than you has to deal with that, I don't suppose. But I am sort of reassured by the fact that people have stepped forward, and underlying, most people care for other people. I think that if we look generally, most people will do somebody some good rather than some ill. And it's nice to see that going forward, and hopefully we can capitalise on it if we can, and try and get people to be more community active.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today, Wayne. It's been really appreciated. I'm sure the people at church want to say a big thank you as well. So thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, and stay safe, everybody.
Hi Gareth, it's lovely of you to join me. You're from FareShare. Would you mind just telling the people at home a little bit about what FareShare is and introduce yourself while you're at it?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Gareth Batty. I'm the CEO of FareShare Yorkshire. We're based in Barnsley. We're based at Wombwell. We've been running now for about 22 years. It's our 22nd year. We are a charity. We redistribute surplus food from the food industry to around about 360 charities across Yorkshire. That's food that would have become waste, would have been disposed of into landfill, and we intercept that food before it becomes waste and redistribute it to help communities feed the people who need.
Oh, brilliant, fantastic. And have you seen a change in that in the last few months at all while we've been going through COVID and stuff?
Yeah, it's certainly been interesting last 4 months, and as it has for lots of people. Usually we redistribute around about 100 tons, 110 tons of food per month. In the last 4 months, that's increased to about 300 tons of food. So yeah, massive increase, and really down to an increased need from the organisations that we support. So we redistribute food to, I guess, any not-for-profit organisation who is engaged in supporting people, individuals and families within the community who need access to food. So that is, it has been schools, but after-school clubs, breakfast clubs, community centres, churches, food banks, a whole range of organisations who are working with individuals and families on the front line. And as you can imagine, that demand has increased substantially. We also do lots of work with partners as well, so local authority partners. We work directly with the Barnsley Foodbank partnership, making sure that they've got access to the food. And because we have those good partnerships with the food industry to get a hold of that food, we're able to redistribute it fairly quickly.
Oh, that's brilliant, thank you. And do you think that's all of the increase that you've seen, is that just down to COVID, or the knock-on effects as well? Or
yeah. Prior to COVID, the demand was increasing. I joined FareShare about 7 years ago, and back then we were supporting 96 organisations, and prior to COVID that was around about 290. There's been a massive increase since COVID, and a lot of those organisations that opened because of the lockdown will continue to stay open to continue to support people. But yeah, it was exponential growth through lockdown. But we do see it continuing, and we think it will continue as well, even outside of a lockdown situation. People just really need some support, and obviously the job situation is really difficult at the moment.
And is it all just because people can't find work? Is that all the reason that people go hungry, or?
Yeah, a whole variety of reasons. What we did find through COVID, it wasn't just down to financial reasons, but also down to access. People were shielding as well. People who don't have any support networks around them were struggling to get hold of that food. Where they would normally go to a local shop, that was far more difficult. So we've seen a lot more emerging issues over the last 4 months that we need to work through. Certainly in the months and years to come.
Perfect. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. Is there anything else you'd like to add before I say goodbye?
No, just look us up. If you want to help us, that'd be fantastic.
Perfect. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Hi David, wonderful to have you with me today. I understand that you're a volunteer at the Foodbank at Darfield Wesley Methodist Church. I just wonder if you could tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, the Foodbank is run as a main hub in Wombwell, and we're one of the spokes. There are 9 spokes around the area, and what happens is people are referred for food parcels, and the food is delivered to the church on that particular day. We never know what parcels we're going to get. Sometimes it's large families. This last week, for instance, it was people that were just come out of prison or on probation. So it does vary in that respect.
Lovely, thank you. Food banks have become a large part of the national conversation over the last few years. And I know that some people would say that the people that go there just need to get a job and pull themselves up by their bootstraps and sort themselves out. Wonder what your response might be to that.
I think that in the early days, I think that was probably the reasons that people had, or the thoughts. But since they've realised that the sort of people that we do get, that's not true. We get all sorts of people that are on minimum wages. They've just got enough money coming in to survive, and if they get an unexpected bill, they struggle. We've got people on 0-hour contracts, things like that. So it's not just the ones that are waiting for benefits to be sorted. Some people are in work and they're just not earning enough money to do those little extra bits.
And you said just now about the people who had just come out of prison as well.
Yeah, we had 5 single males this week. So the food pass will go for them this time.
Okay, so people from the church give their time regularly to volunteer to do this. Why do you think they do that?
Again, I think initially when it first started, they were a bit wary, but they suddenly heard these stories and wanted to get involved and wanted to help the community and help the people. And we get loads of volunteers, in that way. We still get people volunteering food, although the church is closed at the moment. So it all started with a Tuesday drop-in where it was free drinks and coffees and cakes and buns and what have you. And it stemmed from that, but that's had to stop for the moment. But we still get the regular people dropping food off as donations.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It's been lovely to hear that you and the church care for these people in such a wonderful way. Thank you so much for your help today, David. I will turn this off now.
Hello, Norbert. It's lovely to see you. How are you, my friend?
I'm fine, thank you, my friend. Lovely to see you too.
Thank you. I just wonder, can you introduce yourself for me? So who are you, where are you, and how do you and I know each other?
I'm Norbert Were, but I prefer people calling me Norbert. I'm in Kenya, Mombasa, in a school known as Unity Freretown Nursery and Primary School. And I know Ben Scrivens as a very long-time friend. I first knew Ben Scrivens in the year 2007. Till today, he's still a very good friend of ours, a very good friend of this institution. So he's one person that we've known each other for quite a long time now.
We have indeed. We've journeyed together for a long time, haven't we? Now, one of the parts of that journey, joys of that journey for me, was seeing that the charity that brings me out to the school where you are, started a feeding program to make sure that all of the children at the school got at least one hot meal a day. Would you mind just telling us a little bit about that?
Yes, this one, it was a plus for the school. Since within our locality, it seems that Unity is the only school that had the feeding program, which was sponsored by the charity. This was to enable most of our children, slightly over 100 pupils, who could miss completely 3 meals. So when they come to our school, they are able to get at least 1 meal that will help them to keep going. So we've been feeding 436 pupils. And in this kitchen that you can see behind me, it's now very quiet. Nothing is going on here because of coronavirus. We do not have our three lovely ladies who have been making hot meals for 436 pupils, together with 35 staffs. So they are not here because of coronavirus, and we are worried about slightly over 100 pupils who are only depending on this lunch program. But we thank God that the charity came in, and at least they are assisting, as we speak right now, they are assisting about 37 pupils who are able now to get something at least that will take them for 2 to 3 weeks, rather than not having it at all. So wonderful. If you look at it, it's something that has really touched members of this society. Looking at there are some people from far away, 4,000 miles, caring for the learners who are at home right now, who will have perished because of hunger. Yeah. So that one alone is a great gesture that we really appreciate.
And has the Kenyan government said anything about when you might be able to go back to school?
The Kenyan government, we anticipated to go back to school in September this year, but about 3 weeks ago, the government announced that because of the rising cases of coronavirus, the schools will be pushed till January. So you can imagine how hard it's going to be for these pupils, how hard it's going to be for the teachers who are also there without any pay. So it's something that we are leaving everything in the hands of God, because we know that our God will not let us down completely.
Amen. That is absolutely true.